Hey, what's up guys? So in this video, I want to take a look at what could be the best all-around radar detector in kind of like the mid-tier price range. You know, not necessarily the super cheap ones that have really bad performance and filtering, and also not the most expensive ones that are out on the market, but kind of more in the mid-tier detectors. Now, the reason I wanted to bring this up is Uniden actually just dropped the price of their DFR8 and 9 down from $199 for the DFR8 and $299 for the DFR9. And now that it's, well, not as close to the Uniden R1 and R3, it makes me want to take another look at these two detectors and see how they compare relative to the competition. Now, again, these are $200 to $300. And so we're going to be looking kind of in this price range, not maybe the $100 detectors and also not the $400, $500, $600, $700 detectors. We're going to be looking more in the $200 to $300 price range. And I also want to look more in kind of the best all-around radar detectors, meaning a detector that's good for both highway driving as well as for city driving. And for city driving, you're going to want a detector with GPS to give you low-speed muting or GPS lockouts. There's red light camera alerts and speed camera alerts, but really I think it comes down to the lockouts. That's an invaluable feature. And for me, I pretty much don't run a radar detector anymore unless it has GPS capabilities. It's that important. And so for that reason, if we've got two detectors, instead of maybe the DFR8, I would look at the DFR9. Same platform, same performance and filtering and whatnot, just the DFR9 adds the GPS. Now, if we take a look at how the DFR9 compares relative to the competition, let's take a look at all the kind of similar options. We've got the Uniden R1 and R3, of course. This is the R1. It's the same price as the DFR9, but it doesn't have GPS. Yes, the performance is going to be better here. It's got longer range, it's got better BSM filtering, it's got MRCD support. You know, it's got a lot of capabilities that the DFR9 does not have. But without the GPS, unless you want to spring for the R3, getting up to $400, the DFR9 at $300 is going to be a better all-around pick, again because of the GPS. Now, this is the successor to the DFR7, which may actually be one of his biggest competitors. It's going to be discontinued here soon, but you can still find it online for about $199 or so $100 less than the DFR9. The DFR9 does have some new features. It's physically redesigned, as you can see, but under the hood it's very similar. It's got the same performance, same BSM filtering, it's got the new case, it's got a new color OLED display, it's got some advanced capabilities like advanced sensitivity mode adjustments or Ka-band lockouts, things like that. One of the biggest differences I noticed is actually the fact that there's now an ambient light sensor in the DFR8 and 9, so it can automatically adjust the display brightness. The Uniden R1 and R3 can't even do that. The R3 can kind of do that with GPS based on the time of day that you have to go in and set, but the DFR8 and 9 actually have an ambient light sensor, so they don't require GPS, and I think that it's actually a better approach here. Now, taking a look at some of the other brands, let's start with Whistler. Whistler recently released their CR97. That's a detector that retails for $250, so $50 less than the DFR9. It's got improved performance over the previous gen detectors. I've tested the CR85 as well as the CR93, which I have here. The CR97, it's the same thing, but it's just got better sensitivity on K and Ka-band, which is great because the performance here used to really suck, so I'm really glad that they have improved it. There haven't been any changes to BSM filtering and whatnot, which was kind of one of my concerns with it, and I'm seeing the same sorts of issues posted on the forum where it can do a good job, but there are some situations, especially if you enable the traffic filter, or TFSR, I believe they call it, or TSFR, I think TFSR in Whistler lingo. That one, if you enable it, it'll false to Audis and whatnot. It can filter them out otherwise, but if you enable that for the traffic sensor rejection, it'll false to the Audis. Plus, I'm seeing situations where instead of reporting it as K-band, it can actually alert as Ka-band. So you can see it alerted as 35.5 and then switch back to K-band. I've seen similar issues with my CR93 with misreporting frequencies like that, and you definitely don't want a detector that's reporting BSMs as Ka-band, you know? Now, my biggest thing about this detector is the fact that, yes, it's got GPS for your low-speed muting and your red light camera alerts and whatnot, but it does not have GPS lockout capabilities, which really just comes down to patent and licensing restrictions. Whistler's hands are kind of tied in that one. Until the patent expires, Escort currently owns that patent, they're not able to implement the GPS lockout, so their hands are tied on implementing that feature, and again, that's something that I find super useful. I'm not going to get into some of the things like the RDD immunity, how the Whistlers are detectable well over a mile away, whereas the Unidens are stealth. For most people, that's not a big deal. I'm looking more at things like range, BSM filtering, GPS capabilities, day-to-day usage, things like that, that most of us aren't going to notice. So for the extra $50, I do think the DFR9 is worth it, if just for the GPS lockouts alone, and not even getting into some of the other stuff like the BSM filtering differences. Now taking a look at some of Escort's detectors, speaking of GPS lockouts, we've got the Escort S75G, which is a repackaged version of the 9500iX, which came out years ago. Now the thing about the S75G, you can find it online now for less than $200 on Amazon, which is great, so the price is definitely awesome on that. In terms of performance and filtering and whatnot, again, it's an older detector. It's got not the best range, it's slow in terms of reactivity, and there is no modern BSM filtering capabilities. However, it does have GPS lockouts, and well, automatic GPS lockouts too, which I find preferable to manually locking out signals. So that's going to be the advantage there besides the price. But yes, the detector, it's based on older technology and it is getting longer in the tooth, but that's an option for you. Now, if you do want better performance, you can take a look at something like the Escort X80. It's also based on the M4 platform, but it's got some modern advancements like BSRDR available. It's got Bluetooth, so you can pair it with your phone, and then with your phone, you've got manual GPS lockouts. So you're going to have that capability there if you're willing to tether it to your phone. Again, with that detector, the BSM filtering is not going to be the greatest, and this is something that we see carried over with Escort's M4 detectors. It's a similar situation as if we take a look at the Escort IX and the IXC. The IX, it retails for $400. Escort has a kind of extended Cyber Monday deal, dropping it down to $350, or if you go look on Amazon now, you can find it for around $320-ish. Now that detector, it's got better performance, it's got automatic GPS lockout, so you're not tied to your phone. The phone just adds bonus features like the real-time alert shared with Escort Drive or adjusting the detector from your phone, things like that. And yes, we're getting a little bit higher than the $300 price range. We're at $320, but still kind of in that league. Now, the biggest issue that I see personally, I like the detector overall, actually surprisingly more than I thought I would, but one thing that I see with that detector is when it goes off to K-band to BSM falses, you'll get a lot of times a full tilt alert as if you just got owned with instant on. Now, interestingly, I actually see the same issue with the Escort IXC that I've been running for the past couple days. This is the same thing as the IX, but better performance, better BSM filtering, and it adds Wi-Fi, perhaps most notably, just like the Max 360C has. Now, running this one, I actually see the same sort of kind of BSM alert presentation issues where you get that full tilt alert on K-band. Now the IXC, of course, it's going to be kind of higher than our price range than we're looking at here, but in terms of the BSM filtering, this is kind of one of the biggest differences that I notice. And if you're looking for a more affordable detector, the IX is going to be the less expensive one to get, and it's still available before it gets discontinued and actually replaced by the IXC. Next, taking a look at Radenso's options, I think the best one to take a look at would be the Radenso XP. It's going to be $50 more than the DFR9. The performance isn't going to be quite as good, but the BSM filtering, I believe, should actually be better. That's kind of one of Radenso's claim to fame is, it's good BSM filtering. Now, if you want really good performance too, you'd have to step up to the Radenso Pro M, which has, even better BSM filtering and longer range. But that detector is going to be $450. So we're going higher than what we're looking at here with kind of more of a $200 to $300 price point, So the XP, I think, could be another good choice. It's $50 more than the DFR9, but that's another one if you want maybe better BSM filtering over long-range performance. So again, we've got trade-offs here. So if we're going to be taking a look at kind of the best all-around detector, good city and highway capabilities in the $200 to $300 price point, I think the DFR9 makes a pretty strong case for itself. It's not perfect, there's no detector that is, and of course some people are going to want another detector or a less expensive one or better performance or whatever. There's no detector that's ideal for everybody, but in this price range, I think it's making a pretty strong case for itself, and I'm glad to see that Uniden is actually dropping the price, which they're kind of testing it out. It's only going to be for the next 2 weeks or so, just to bring the price down more compared to the R1 and the R3. So if you want it, it's available, or any of these other detectors. I'll link to all of them down in the video description if any one of them piques your interest and you can pick it up there. So anyway, let me know what you think. Which one, kind of based on this or information that you guys know and have discussed on the forums and whatnot, which one should we consider as kind of the best all-around detector in the $200 to $300 price point? I'm curious to hear, which ones you guys would find as your favorites and which ones you think would be the elusive best radar detector. So, awesome. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys have found this helpful and hopefully fun. Have a great weekend, and I will see you in the next video.